But hopefully what I can do is get that soffit run down and take that siding with me as I go off top of this scaffolding. I can do, what, 14 foot at a time, so shouldn't take too long to knock that out. Hi guys, welcome back. We've finished the siding and the soffit with the exception of the porches. So I'm going to have to figure out what we're going to do with those. I originally was going to do wood deck on the front and back here too. But having trouble getting materials. Of course, pressure treated has been kind of tight for a while, but the Trex is even getting hard to get now because there's not much price difference between Trex and pressure treated. So what I've tried to come up with, I can get the Trex in saddle, which is similar to this stuff I've got over at my house. I had some samples of it here, which would, be fine as far as being on the horizontal here. But Mom really wanted, she didn't like the brown. She wanted something gray, and the gray Trex is just out right now. You're going to have to get something. If you had the edge of the Trex board here, a lot of it now has a groove cut in the edge for a fastening system right down through here, and they make a board that is not cut. It costs a little more because nobody stocks it, but they can't get it until November is what they're telling me right now. So what I think we're going to do, I'm going to, of course I didn't want a step coming out of there, out of the house. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a concrete porch on the front. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to pour a little curb around here right on top of this existing concrete patio and block wall all the way around the perimeter, and bring it up to within basically 4 inches of the bottom of that door over there. Plus, I'll take off a little bit for some slope coming out to the front here. But I've moved my temporary post out of the way. I made a new temporary post that comes down into the ground here to hold the roof up so we can get in here and work. And I went and bought a piece of Avantech. I still had some left, but it was mostly my back porch, and I didn't want to take it apart, so I just went and bought a sheet because that stuff works really well for these forms and for these little short walls. It's nice and straight and stiff. So I'm going to rip that to the height I need to blue screw it right to the front of this old deck where I sawed off, and I'll set it at the right elevation. It'll be level across the front, and then there'll be a pitch from this corner back to the house back there, so that the whole deck will slope this direction when it's finished. So what I'm going to do is get started. I got move my little table saw, portable table saw out here, and I'll figure out how tall of a piece I can use here and rip it off. And I'm going to start at this corner and work my way back to the house. I intentionally didn't nail these corners. You can see as I was coming down, I quit right there because I knew I was going to be doing something here, whether it was wood or what. So what I'll do, I'll probably, let's say if that curb's going to be 6 inches tall right now, I'll probably cut this corner up 6 more inches and give me room to pour my curb. And then I'll, once that's all said and done, when I form my front, which will be the actual finished patio, finished porch, I'll notch it out one more time. And then I'll go ahead and get the patio poured first before I even start this siding in here. That way I won't have to protect it. I'll just have to take these corners up. This is what I'm using to see how tall my wall needed to be. I just took a relatively straight 2x4, put it back there. The top of this 2x4 is going to basically be the top of the concrete. Now this is only 3.5 inches tall. Concrete would typically be 4 inches thick. So grab my tape measure. So if I measure here and I'm measuring 6.5 inches, and I'll probably drop it down to 6 inches tall. That way you can have the extra 1/2 inch of concrete on top of this little stem wall. The way I've got it sloped right now, it's a little more than 1/8 of an inch per foot. This is a covered porch, and it's probably going to be screened in, so I don't anticipate a lot of water getting in here. 1/4 inch per foot is a little extreme. It's probably what you'd want for an outdoor patio, but if you're going to be sitting in a chair or have tables and stuff, probably the less slope you can put on it, the better off. So, but I So I'm gonna start with 6 inches. So what I'm gonna do is come along here and measure and see how long of a board I can put in everywhere. And if it's 8 inches, I'll have 2 inches down here that I can screw to this concrete. If it's, 8.5 inches, whatever, the most we can put down here is better. So I've got 4 foot of plywood to work with, so I might as well cut it just as tall as I can. Okay, lunchtime's over. I got the inside forms put up. I haven't got the nice little piece in where it goes on up against the house on either end. Also have the steel. I dialed in steel down into the original porch and then tied 1 bar around the top of it there, just to make sure that little piece stays up on there while we're up around on it here and pour concrete and everything. But what I'm going to do, I don't want concrete going up against the house, even with the tie back on it. Still wouldn't want to have wet concrete going up against that, because it could soak through and be up against the house for years to come, wicking moisture in. So what I've done, I picked up a couple of pieces of this cement board. This would be like what you would put under tile or stone or something up against wood. It's about a 1/2 inch thick. I'm going to rip a piece off and put right on this end, and then I'll do the same thing over here. Then I can put the rest of my forms up and get started mixing. I won't have to, I can put the rest of it on later. I'm going to run it all the way around the perimeter here where this concrete and stone is going to be, so that it won't be touching up against the wood portion of the house. I did have to, let's see, that sun's pretty bright, but you can probably see that down in there. I had to shim out a little bit. What I wanted to do was keep this as straight as possible, because the next thing that's going to happen once this little bit of concrete's poured and I get the gravel put in there is I'll have to come along the top of this wall and put a 2x4, screw a 2x4 to it. It'll be flush with this, and that'll give me about 1.5 inch overhang for my concrete. And then I'll screw another wider board to that 2x4 that'll come up to the top of the porch. So I need that to be pretty straight. I can straighten it again one last time when I put the 2x4 on. But after that, the form you put on the outside of that's going to be what the edge of the actual porch looks like. So I just took a string and stretched down both places and got it as close as I could right now. Originally, when I sawed this off, I wasn't thinking about even the possibility of doing a concrete porch here. And I was just making sure it was cut back far enough. And then I was going to build my wood porch, and then I'll plaster or parge these walls to make everything look pretty when I'm done. These steps actually come out. They're sitting there loose right now. When the guy was tearing the house down, he actually caught it with his tooth a little bit, and they moved real easy. So I'll probably bust them up. I might even do that and put the rubble over in there. It'll be less gravel to put in. But I'll get this cement board cut and put in these 2 edges here, and then I can get the remaining 2 pieces of form put in and start mixing concrete. And there's what the end of the form looks like. We just got that cement board up against the wall there where I didn't put the OSB, so it's actually flush with the OSB. The concrete on the back wall here will actually be up to the top of that cement board. Over on the opposite side where it goes out toward the street, it'll actually wind up dropping down below the cement board, and my siding will actually be coming down over the cement board slightly. But what I'm going to do is get me some water hooked up and drug over here, pick up some of these tools and get some junk out of my way and start mixing concrete. And no anchor bolts or anything goes in this, so it'll just be a matter of mixing it up, pouring it full, and screeding it off and letting it dry. Well, she's mixed up and in there. I'll got that little mason's trowel. I may slick it down a little bit. Don't really matter. I'll lay tar paper or something on top of it anyway to keep the concrete from sticking to it. So what I'm gonna do is pick up the rest of my tools and lock up and call it a night. I guess what I'll do is order a load of gravel and have it dumped right here. I may just sling it in here with a shovel instead of trying to fool getting a little loader or something down here to push it over in here. I'll have to add up and see how much we got here. Probably about 100 and 50 square feet by 6 inches thick, 75 cubic feet, 7,500 pounds, 4 tons. Probably 4 tons of gravel will do this. Probably order more and put it in that carport back there and get it ready to pour at the same time. That way I can order 5 yards of concrete, which is probably about the minimum they want to bring without a surcharge anyway. Good morning. Got the forms off. Got to get the rest of this cement board up. Got a guy going to bring me some gravel. He's the guy that took my tree, cut my tree up. It fell on my dock and got up that hill. So he's got a smaller, probably like a 1-ton dump. And he's gonna go get me whatever they'll load on that for him and bring it to me and see if we can get it up in here on the porch instead of out in the driveway. I had to slit that tie vac back in that corner because it's out here on the face of the OSB and that's back a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to run a piece of the good stuff up that corner before I put my cement board in there. Kind of like that, and I'm just caulking the seams as I put them together to keep if you're washing down the porch or something, water runs down in there, but I don't expect you'll ever have a lot of water running down the backside of this slab. And I'm just attaching it with a few roofing nails. It's just got to hold it up long enough for me to get the gravel up against it. Great, saved me a lot of shoveling for sure. I'm all about easier. We'll see if we can get this over on the porch. Some of it anyway. I think some of it will make it up here. It might fill that up in a second and start coming over. Yeah, it'll start coming over in a second, I believe. Tell you what, if you want me to, I'll grab a rake and drag them off right quick. I took the rake and raked out his bed so most of it would stay up here, but he got a lot of it over in here for me. Threw that tarp down so I could be shoveling off of it instead of off of the dirt, but that's a lot better. I was originally, if I'd have just called anybody, they'd have probably had to dump it out here in the driveway and I'd had to sling it all in here with a shovel, but I think by the time I get all that raked out, we're gonna be looking pretty good. Well, that's about all I can do with the rake from up there. I raked some of them off this pile over into the porch area as well before it got down so low, but I have that area there left. And I've got this nice big coal shovel, so I'll start scooping it off the pile and slinging it back in that back corner. I'm so glad he's able to get most of them dumped up on the porch because I've only been shoveling for a little bit and I'm about dead. I had to go find a smaller shovel. That big coal shovel was killing me. This one don't move as many, but it's a lot easier to pitch them. Well, she's full. Got about that many left. I'll have to load them in a wheelbarrow and push them back there into that carport area where I can spread them out there for the pour back there. But our next step here will be building these front forms along the edge here. And like I say, I'll lay tar paper on top of this wall. You don't want your concrete to stick to this because that slab's gonna expand and contract. And if it's hooked on that, it'll probably, you know, to bring it with it or break the concrete, do something. So just let it slip everywhere it can. I may or may not put something up against the house. I may just let it pour right up against that cement board. Since it's not really captured, it can all push toward me out here. In my opinion, a concrete slab, when you pour it, it's probably as big as it's going to be when it's hot and curing, because especially around here, maybe in the desert or somewhere it might be different, but I've never seen one, you know, if you pour it inside something, ever get too big for it. It usually just, you know, winds up pulling away from the wall a little bit as it dries. I've seen them curl up. They'll definitely curl up in the corners if you ever got a big slab and have you something nice and level around there. As it cures, the top dries first, so it kind of pulls, and the bottom cures slower, so it'll tend to kind of curl up on the corners. I guess that's why you're supposed to keep it wet while it's curing, try to make it cure evenly. But I think it's gonna work out all right. It wasn't as bad as I thought. I can say that now that I've got it spread out in there. So from here on out, my job will probably be a little easier than a wood deck would be, because I think I'll probably, you know, get somebody to come and finish it. Since I got both these slabs, they could come in here and knock them out real quick and make it look pretty, and it'd take me all day and it still wouldn't look good. Well, it's 7 big wheelbarrow loads to get the rest of the rock out of here. That little bit there, I'm going to just pick the whole tarp up, dump it up on the porch. Of course, I had a little bit fall over the edges, but that'll be all right. I'm going to put more topsoil in here anyway. So I will, I guess I need to find me a finisher. I'll make a few phone calls on that and pick up some Foreman lumber. I'll need a couple of 16-foot boards to do this front and a couple of 12-foots to do the side. And I'll just have to put up one board back here for the carport just across the front. So I think it's a little over 10 foot, so I'll probably have to get a 12-foot board for it, but it shouldn't take long to form it if I can get somebody to come and pour it for me. Okay, it's time to get this thing formed up. It has rained here for days, but it's cloudy but not raining currently. So what I've decided to do, I have this Advantech I had bought to form this little curb, and you know, it turned out good and straight. It was 6 inches tall, so I think it'll hold up 4 inches and be pretty straight. So I'm going to try it anyway. So what I'm going to do is put a piece of the actual Advantech against the beam that we formed and poured, and that'll give me a 3/4 inch overhang. And then I'll put another piece of Advantech up to the right height of the porch right in here, and attach it to this piece, or maybe go all the way through it and into the concrete with longer blue screws. We'll find out. So what I'm going to do though, I'm going to recess these blue screws. I don't have the actual, I've got these with a little 1/4 inch head on them, but I just took a spade bit and made me some little recesses. And so I'll come back with my hammer drill the concrete, put in the blue screw, and that'll give me something to attach my form to, and also have me a 3/4 inch overhang. Okay, this is what it's going to wind up looking like. I've got that form up. I don't have the front board screwed on like it should be. I don't have any long blue screws, so what I did, I just stuck it up there so I could get it in place, and also so I could notch these corner posts out to the right elevation, because the concrete will go up under them. Not sure what I'm going to do back in here yet. Of course, ideally you would have had this concrete there before you even started your vinyl, but at that time I didn't even know I was going to do concrete, so you just gotta make it up as you go. So probably what I might do is, I was just looking at it, I might be able to spray some spray foam back in there, maybe get that white that don't expand much, spray it back there and fill it up, and then I can kind of cut it out with a knife before I pour, and just make it be square in this corner right here. So that's probably what I'll do with that. Got that in 2 places here. Same thing over here. That piece of tar paper I had in my basement at home, it would have been left over when I built my house 20 years ago, or 18 years ago. So I rolled it out, and I think I cut that much off of it, off of one side actually. The other side was long enough. I just split it in half. So I guess it pays to hang on to junk like that sometimes. But of course I'll be putting either wire or steel in here. The Lowe's here has a steel mesh just in like 3.5 by 7 foot sheets. They don't have any of the 5 foot by 150 foot rolls. I'm gonna need enough to do this pour as well as the one in the back. And then I haven't even started spreading the gravel back there yet, but I've got to get those long blue screws and and put this on, then I'll see how it feels. Pull the string, make sure it looks good and tight. If it don't, I can put me some kickers out to the ground to hold it good and straight, or even screw a strong back across here, like a 2x4 edgewise. I could screw through from the inside into it, and that would hold it good and straight. So I'm gonna pick up tools. It never did. A little bit of blue sky came out, but never did really rain. It just looked like this all day, so it was nice and cool. Decided to go ahead and put up some expansion joint material, mostly just to make it easy to finish, so you have something to work off of here. Otherwise, I would have had to put something here for them to work to. So this is something we can put there and leave, and it'll be easy to work with. You can see how that side slopes. So I'm gonna get the rest of that nailed up, and then we can start cutting the, I wound up buying just rolled wire mesh to put in here. The only steel I could get was number 4 bar easily, so I didn't want to put that big of a steel in here. So I'll put the welded wire mesh in next. I think I'll have plenty of wire mesh. We got this one, all the wire cut and laid in there. So, of course, it's all squirrely looking. You have to kind of bend on it after it's been coiled up like that to keep it from rolling up and eating you. But back in these corners here, I don't know if you can see it or not, I was able to run this expansion joint material here all the way back till it touched the corner, and then cut a little sliver and put up at the end of the form. So this one will be ready to pour now. I want to go ahead and jump back there to the carport and start getting it ready. Okay, this guy here is ready for the wire mesh. It always had a slope down to the driveway from the back. So what I did with that extra gravel I had left over from the porch, I just leveled it up and made this slab in here actually going to be level. And then, because what I intend to do with it truly is just build a real building over it and make a storage place for storage, or a little studio or something. I'll probably run a conduit over here. I might go ahead before I actually pour and dig down right here in this corner and stub me out a 1-inch conduit, or probably don't need to be that big, but I could pull power right out of that panel over there and come over here to it underground. So I'll probably go ahead and do that before I pour it and just stub this up over here in the corner. But I don't think I showed you all this junk here, but a lot of this stuff came out of the basement. A lot of ammo that was just laying down there in the floor, some of it down in the sump pit. This whole box is completely full of it now. I'm sure it's all corroded up and probably not worth having, but it's full of the shells. Also what was that for? One of those little Russian rifles. But this was also laying down there. I don't know how many rounds it held. It's all, of course, corroded up too. So I'm not sure what the story behind all that is, but I'm gonna have to figure out something to do with it. Don't really want to throw it in a landfill. But what I'll do is get them 2 nice pieces of mesh. This is a little less than 10 foot wide. That's a 9 foot opening there, so you can see it's probably only a little over 9.5 foot. So 2 pieces of that 5 foot mesh should run down here parallel and overlap 6 inches, so I can tie it together. And then I'll have to just find me a finisher. I just glued this expansion joint material using contact cement to the concrete, just chalked me a line and glued it right up to it. Seems to hold it pretty well. I didn't want to have to try to drive hard nails or even drill that old concrete, 70-year-old concrete. So that seems to hold it good, and it only needs to be there for them to have something to work to. So I think it'll be fine. But I'll get this steel in. I got 2 change-outs this week, so I don't know what day. I hate to turn somebody loose here without me here, but I'll just have to, maybe toward the end of the week, I can have a finisher that can get to me and get both these poured, and then I can get back on the rest of that siding. Well, it's concrete day, I hope. The guy I had going to do it canceled twice. The guy that laid my block is going to come and help me. He does concrete finishing, so hopefully he will show up. I wasn't able to get it till 11 o'clock, but you know how that is. Concrete time, that might be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'll probably be here all evening. Only half hour late, that's pretty good. Okay, got the porch down, and he's gonna put a bull float on it right quick before we move back to the carport. Just finished brooming the porch here. It's kind of funny because it's setting up, of course, out here where it's in the sun, set up quicker than back there where it's not got any sun, but the porch is pretty much knocked out, so I'm gonna try to put a slick finish up here on the carport. We'll go get to work on that. That'll look good from my house. It's getting a little bit later in the day. Fortunately, it's a good warm day, so the stuff set up real well. Porch is already turning white here where it's had the sun on it. So I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to pull these forms off. It's already dry enough that I wouldn't be able to do anything if I needed to. I've got some Portland cement over there under a pallet cover. I could mix up a little bit of smooth and rub on the outside if I need to, but I can do that tomorrow. So I'm going to call it a day. Okay, I stripped off the front forms. I'm gonna leave that bottom form there just until the concrete cures good, because I'm stepping up on that edge when I climb up on the porch, and I just don't want to take a chance on it. It ain't hurting nothing being there. But carport back there, I'm gonna leave that form board on it as well, because I'll be dragging stuff in and out of there. Don't want to mess that edge up. Good thing is I can finish that siding right there right now and put that soffit in, and it'll start to look a lot more like a house from the street here. I tried to put this thing together. I know it's been a while because I had to wait on concrete finishers, but I tried to put it together where I had a video that was just about one single thing. So this video is going to be basically about pouring this little porch. So I'll try to get it pieced together for Friday night. And I've done some other things. I started some wiring and this and that, but I'll try to put that together in its own little cohesive video if there's any way to do that. So I'm going to end this one here now. It should be enough time. And I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.